But we begin tonight with Linda McMahon, the 13th and possibly the very last Secretary of Education. That department was formed in 1979. Now, the Department of Education days are now officially numbered, and after President Trump signed a sweeping executive order to dismantle the Department of Education once and for all. Take a look.
Today we take a very historic action that was 45 years in the making. In a few moments, I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all. Everybody knows it's right, and the Democrats know it's right, and I hope they're going to be voting for it because ultimately it may come before them, but everybody knows it's right, and we have to get our children educated. We're not doing well with the world of education in this country, and we haven't for a long time. And we're pleased to be joined today by the woman who I chose because she's an extraordinary person, and hopefully she will be our last Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon. Linda.
All right, cue Trump derangement syndrome and the predictable meltdown from the left in 3, 2, 1, hit it.
They're just taking opportunity away from kids that don't have it. So billionaires, kids of billionaires, they have it. They go to private schools. Everyone else, 90%, go to public schools. Don't take away their opportunity.
So let's stay on the facts.
Sorry.
No,
I'm really angry about this.
No, because this is what
really
people
angry.
need to.
Oh, really angry. That was Randi Weingarten, the president of the American Federation of Teachers. Now, she's the leader of one of the largest teachers unions in the country, quivering with rage and despair, all because federal dollars earmarked for education will go directly to the states instead of the Department of Education. Now, keep in mind, I have never seen her express that kind of outrage that the Department of Education has failed, systemically failed to improve test scores since its creation in 1979, despite dramatic and massive increases in funding year after year after year after year, over $3 trillion in systemic failure. In fact, in 2023, U.S. reading and math scores dropped to the lowest level in decades. And look at this chart. SAT scores also plummeting, despite high school graduation rates. That means an increasing number of students are basically being handed high school diplomas without actually becoming proficient in core fundamental subjects. But no tears then from Randi Weingarten, no demands that her teachers step up, no merit pay for teachers, no choice or vouchers for parents. Nope, just more money from the Department of Education for that institution. When you do the same thing over and over and over again, and you expect a different result, what do we call that? The definition of insanity. But Randi Weingarten, other union leaders, the Democratic Party, they never, ever seem to care about the results of your children. Finally, this unholy alliance, as I call it, between teachers' unions and the Democrats, the unions that donate a fortune to Democrats every 2 and 4 years, officially will be broken. And as you can see, they are only worried about the flow of money. They're not worried, they're not passionate, they're not screaming, they're not hemming and hawing about their massive failure to educate our children. The federal government writes big checks, the union organized support and donations for Democrats, and our students, your kids, they get left behind with no accountability at all whatsoever. And by the way, most of the money isn't even getting to teachers. Instead, administrative costs have exploded in the past several decades. But thanks to President Trump, this corrupt system, it is all about to change. States, local school districts, parents will have more freedom. And by cutting out the middleman at the Department of Education, they might even get more money. And their massive failure to educate your kids, that will come to an end. But let's be clear. Money alone does not improve education. If you look around the country, this is interesting. Some of the worst performing school districts also spend the most money per student. Example, case in point, New York allocates more than $36,000 per student, the highest in the country. New York's test scores in reading and math rank near the bottom. In contrast, according to one report, quote, over the past 20 years, Idaho, they have outperformed New York in 4th grade math, 8th grade reading, and Idaho averages just over 1/3 of what New York is spending per student year over year. And meanwhile, Washington, D.C., they spend the second most per student, but they rank 50th, that's dead last, in 8th grade math and 45th in reading. And let's not forget about the city of Baltimore, which spends well above the national average at more than $23,000 per student. But these are the results. 23 Baltimore school districts, 23. Not a single student, not one proficient in math, not one student in 23 schools. How can any honest Democrat look at that and support the status quo? Entire communities are being failed by the status quo. Randy Weingarten, other union bosses, they're getting paid well. Democrats get elected. They're fine with the system. But your students, our kids, never learn how to read, write, do math, learn history, science, computers. In other words, develop the skills that are needed for a career and a productive life. Education is the ladder to success in America. Teachers, unions, and Democrats have failed your children spectacularly. If you tried, you couldn't even fail. You know, in Reagan's term in 1980, they did a landmark study. It was called The Nation at Risk. And it literally determined what has happened to our educational system were it done by an outside entity or force would be tantamount to an act of war. And you know what? It's especially bad in majority blue states and blue cities. Democrats have never lifted a finger to help these kids, as long as they get their campaign donations every 2 and 4 years. In the 1980s, a principal at an inner-city high school in Paterson, New Jersey, his name, Joe Lewis Clark, gained nationwide fame for bringing order and discipline and education to a school once wrought with nothing but chaos and violence and drugs. And Clark even inspired the 1989 movie. Morgan Freeman at his best. Lean on me. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.